Welcome to Spain. Buenos dias, Tanya.
Buenos dias. How's it going?
It's going actually quite wonderful. I'll be honest.
Stupendously.
Halloween is over. it's
Yeah.
it's the remnants of it. We're moving on to the next thing.
Well, not quite. It's only just over. We're still sorting candy and like doing Halloweeny things that kind of drag on a little bit. But yes, you're right. It is technically over.
How was your candy haul, if I may ask, before we go into our Spain moment?
Zena got a pretty good one. She went, oh, well, it's this kind of moves into my Spain, so I can kind of
Okay.
transition this quite smoothly, actually. Zena went over
Okay.
to a friend's house and stayed the night with her friend, and they went with her little brother, and they've got some friends in the neighborhood, and they went trick-or-treating. But it wasn't a super organized trick-or-treating. They just kind of like went to, I guess, houses that had Halloween stuff up
hmm
and went to see if they would open the door and give them candy or not, right? So they kind
Okay.
of like walked around, and I think they had a really good time. And she got they got quite a bit of candy. And then what was nice is, I don't know if your girls do this, but this seems to be a standard of what happens. Whoever's in the same family, the same house, then you go home and you all sit around and you trade so that everybody gets the things that they like, right? And
hmm
that's so she got ended up, because she likes chocolate versus the candy, so she ended up trading a lot and got a lot of those little Kinder Buenos and the Kit Kats, because the Kit Kats is one of the only candies I think here that actually does Halloween candy.
Yeah, it's you mean like the bite-sized.
The bite-sized ones, but no, not only are they bite-sized, but you open them up and they're like bats and vampires and
Oh.
witches and things. They're actually formed into Halloween candy inside.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, so Paloma's going to be very upset to find out this news, so I will not let her listen to this
Okay.
episode.
We
Paloma
might have
came
a
home.
spare one we can share if she hasn't seen that before.
Well, she got a huge bag of candy. We did the Rusafa thing,
Oh
but
yeah, how'd it go?
it was amazing. There were
Yeah.
thousands of kids. It felt like Mardi Gras. Like it was a really wonderful experience, and she had a lot of fun, and her and her friends had a lot of fun. But she was very annoyed because it's all lollipops and hard candy. She had like 3 pieces of
Oh
chocolate, and she
dear.
was like, and
Yeah.
she's like, "Well, I'm not going to eat any of this." I'm like, "Neither am I. None of us want hard candy." Her Halloween bag, unfortunately, looked like the bottom of Grandma's purse. You
Oh
know?
no. Yeah, because Zena came back with a few of those Werthers, and I was like, I don't
Yes.
know why, because I can't explain it, but I think I'm correct that this is grandma candy. But I don't know
Yeah.
where that I don't know when that became grandma candy. So, but it is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and
She
I
got the
don't know why.
Werthers,
Yeah,
yeah, and
I
the
don't know
little
why.
strawberry, like not even Jolly Rogers, right? But the
No.
things that are kind of like it, and
Yeah.
and I get it. Like they're putting this together and they're trying to max out
Yeah.
the donations,
Of
and
course, they
it's
got to
hard to find. And
do.
you're not finding bags of Snickers wrapped.
No,
Like
you got
it's
to do the
not.
right thing.
Yeah,
But did
she
did
did get a
did
Reese's, and I grabbed it from her hand. I have to say,
Oh
I just
no, that's
grabbed
not
it.
very nice.
Well, she doesn't like Reese's, so it
Oh,
was
okay.
nice. It was
Did
fine.
Werther's do an ad where grandma was handing out candy to the grandkids or something? Do you have any
I have
recollection of this?
no, but I mean, in my whole life, Werther's has always been a grandma
Right.
thing.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't know why. Anyway, so she came with a few of those. I'll see if I can dig up a Kit Kat or two for her, because they had them at Aldi actually, and they also had
Ah,
those at
yes.
Consume. Yeah.
Little had some like Halloween themed candies, and we didn't donate money. We brought 2 bags of candies, and I brought a bag of from from Little. They have year round those individual bite sized kind of fake Kit Kats, but they're different flavors, kind of like a Kit Kat Trix mix. So I brought those, and I guess I was
Yeah.
the only one that brought those because we didn't get one in our
Right,
bag.
because you never saw them.
Yes.
Well, this leads into my R Spain for today, which is an R Spain for me, and I think most people that move here, I think, because it's a kind of different lifestyle. So it's Saturday. I went to go pick her up. I went and I was invited for lunch because we're all friends. So I went over for
hmm
lunch, and the lunch was at
To their
2. I was
house, or
at their
did you? I'm
house.
sorry.
No, at their
Okay.
house. Yeah, at their house.
hmm
So, the kids are there, the kids are playing, we're just hanging out. We did not end up having lunch until 4 o'clock, which it's fine. You're just like hanging out and chatting, right? But I mean, I
Right,
just can't
right.
imagine. I can't remember a time I went over to a friend's house in America and didn't have lunch until 3 hours after I got there. Like you would be in and
Mhm.
out by that time frame, I think,
Right, right.
generally.
Right. You're right. If someone invites you over for lunch, it's a scheduled thing. Come over at
Right?
2, we're eating at 1:30, and get your butt out of my
And
house by
you
4,
add it
right?
exactly because they've got things to do. Maybe they got to go back to work. They've got to go pick up a different kid or whatever it is. Like there's always things that have to be done. So we had lunch like at 4, and then we're still hanging around, just chatting and everything. And of course, the kids. This is a friend of Zena's from her last school, so they want to hang out for as long as possible because they're not in school together anymore. So it all works out very well. We didn't have dessert until 7:30, so in
Mhm.
between in between lunch and dessert, that took like another 3 hours, right? And I love this because it feels very you don't feel stressed. You don't feel like
Right.
you're about to get thrown out or I mean, and it's just I mean, they are good friends, but it's also like there isn't anything else that everyone's going to. This is what everyone's doing that afternoon. So
Right.
that's it, you know? And it's you're not overstaying your welcome. You're not it's just how it is. And I love it. And we left at around I think 8:30, but I think we could have easily been there till 2 o'clock in the morning. We would have been given coffee and then probably another dessert if we had
Right, right,
stayed.
yes.
And Zena would have been happy to stay forever. So I it's very relaxing to have that sort of
Mhm.
experience with friends, I think. And there's a pressure I feel like you just said when you're in America, something that I never really understood when I moved from England to America. That was something that I
Mhm.
never really understood where I remember the first time I said with friends like for we're going out for lunch or something. Do you want to come to the group of friends? And one of them was like, no, I'm not hungry. And I'm like, I don't
Mhm.
understand. Like, what's that got to do with going out to lunch? Like nothing, in
Right,
my
right.
opinion. But of course, in America, it
Right.
really does because you also, you go out to a restaurant, you can't be not eating at a table because that's rude to the
Right.
restaurant. So there's so many elements
Exactly.
to it there, right? So
Right.
anyway, that was our little Spanish, our Spain moment yesterday, which I love.
I love that. I mean, I has happened to us many times in that kind of scenario too, where you're like, someone's like, "Come over for dinner," and I'm like, "What time's showing up at 5?" And we're getting home at 2 a.m.
Hmm.
Right?
Right.
It's like it's here definitely. If someone's like, "You want to meet for lunch?" Do not make plans for the rest of the day with anybody
No,
else, right?
absolutely. And you shouldn't. I mean, that's what you're doing, you know? And the
Hmm.
first time that happened to us, we went for lunch and we didn't get home till 2 o'clock in the morning. And Joanne and I were both like, I think we're too old for this or just not seasoned enough to manage this scenario. Like, and then
Right.
also, like, it's happened quite often that we've invited people over and they've still been there for dinner. So also make sure you have enough food to feed everybody
Right.
again for the next meal because it may not just be one meal that you have people
Right.
over for, right?
Right.
You can't
Right.
be scrambling for another meal for dinner.
For sure.
So that's fun. So that kind of leads us into our myths about Spain, our top
Our
five.
5, yep,
Yep,
our top 5, or is it top 5? Or just 5? I don't know if they're a top
five.
5, but with the 5.
Let's say five myths about Spain and this kind of ties into this first one a little bit, which
Mhm.
is this idea that there is no sense of time or schedule or that nothing gets done. And
Right.
I guess what I just said kind of confirms that, but it also I want to point out that it doesn't because this was a Saturday. This wasn't a
Right.
Monday. This was a day of
You weren't
rest and
supposed to go
where
back to the office,
no,
right?
it's
So
definitely, and this goes to the work-life balance. I think
Right.
the myth is that nothing is getting done here because they have a really good work-life balance compared to England, America kind of way of going, right? Wouldn't you say that's
Right.
where the myth
I would say
probably
that,
comes
and
from?
I think so for sure, right? Because America and Britain, it's fast paced. It's go go
Mm-hmm.
go. I own you, right? Like your
Mm-hmm.
companies own you during that time, and even when you're not on the clock, they still own you, right? There's this
Yeah.
things got to get done, and lunch is
Competition and
four
pressure
minutes. Yeah.
within the company, right?
Mm-hmm. And lunch is 4 minutes, and you get one break, and that's all you're allowed to have. And so you have this mentality of like I'm always on the go and I'm productive. But I will say what I've noticed here. Yes, there is this work-life balance. They have the siestas, they have all this, and I guess you could perceive it that they're are they lazy? Are they getting nothing done? No one cares about anything. And I have found it to actually be the opposite and much more efficient here in my own experience. Like in America, if a plumber's coming, they give you like a 7-day window of when they
Right.
may or may not show up.
Right.
Show up. And here, whenever I've had the plumber come, he's like, I'll be there tomorrow between 10 and noon. And at 9:15, he's like, well, I'm here in the neighborhood already. You want me to come early? And I'm like, I
Right.
guess so. You
Right.
know?
No, it's so true. And we've had people come to do renovations on the house, like the people that came to do the tile in the kitchen. They showed up at they were going to be there at 7:30. They showed up at 7:30 and they were set up and everything. Now they had to go to Almuerzo, right? So they set up, they kind of
Right.
got everything, and then they all disappeared. And I'm like, oh my god, what's going on? Like, but they've left their tools, so I guess they're coming back. And this was very early on. I
Right.
wasn't really like understanding what was happening. And then an hour later, they show up, and then they just worked all the way through and got it done. And it's like, so you just have to understand the parameters around which things are getting done here because it is different and a break is needed. Almuerzo must be had, this type of thing. And
Hmm.
but it's very, very, very efficient. Once people are at your house getting things done or whatever it is, the plumbing, the electricity, whatever, it's very efficient.
Right. Agreed. And like in deliveries too, right?
Hmm.
Whenever like I've ordered from IKEA or from other stores and they're like, the window is, they have you choose the window,
Right.
right? Which I never had in America. They're like, do you want it between 10 and 1, 1 and 3, 3 and 8, 8
Hmm.
and 8 and like midnight? Like, I mean, because some deliveries come late because they do work late here, right? So that's the other
Right.
thing is that they're working until 8 and 9 p.m. in an office. Like,
Hmm.
many people are working that late because they have this afternoon break. In America, you're not getting anyone to stay until 8 unless they are getting overtime and
No,
or it's a high power career where they really own them 24 hours a day, right?
absolutely.
And
Yeah.
but when you say, okay, I'll pick the 1 to 3 for the delivery time, like, you better be home at
You
1 because
better.
more likely or not, it's coming at 1:05,
Most
right?
likely. Yes, absolutely. And we had the movers come and so efficient. I don't think I've ever seen efficiency like that. They showed up with a
Really?
truck. I mean, so amazing. They had covers already like for our sofa to like that perfectly fit the sofa. They wrapped
Hmm.
everything. It was all out. Now they had had a problem with their bigger truck, so they had to do two like goes with the smaller truck, which was on them,
Gotcha.
which
Because
was
you're in the
really nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
because you're in the mountains and the curvy roads and all that. Yeah.
Well, no, their bigger truck had broken down. They showed me a picture of their
Oh,
truck
never
being
mind.
like carted away on a flatbed. They were like, "This is why we don't have the bigger truck because it got and we're having a problem." But they have their storage up in Castellon, right? So they
Okay.
took our stuff. They had to drive it up to Castellon, unload it, and bring the truck back down and go again, and did like a truck and a half. And it was like they were so efficient and they would just like boom 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 boom. I mean, it was amazing. Like, and again, like I've said, you might have a hard time getting things sorted to have them started, of finding the right people to
Hmm.
do things. Where you live might be a problem. Like for us, often because of where we live, it's in the middle of nowhere and they don't service that area. But once you get somebody
Right.
there, boom, it's so efficient, so efficient. So that is definitely a myth. I want to say things are efficient
Yeah.
here once they get
They
going.
are efficient. And I think that they're also in that things are hard to get started is also because we're expats. So we
Hmm.
don't know the ins and outs. Like, there isn't a yellow pages per se,
A
right?
lot
So
of
we're,
that. Yeah.
I don't know who, like, in our WhatsApp group threads, there's always like, who's a plumber? Like, no one
Right.
knows
Nobody
where to begin this
knows.
stuff. And then who's the plumber that's not going to, you know, have one over me because
Hmm.
I'm a foreigner and charge me 3 times the price because I'm a foreigner, right? Like,
Right.
so
And
it's
that's so
all of
true.
that,
And
right?
to that point about being a foreigner, I think you hear a lot about sort of the bureaucracy and things like that. Well, because we're foreigners, we're dealing with a lot of immigration paperwork and things that are really big amounts of paperwork and bureaucracy.
Right.
I did that in the States. It's the same amount of bureaucracy. If you're doing that type of thing, the problem
I
is a lot
agree.
of
Yeah.
people that come here have never done residency in a foreign country before. So they're like, oh my God, this is
Right.
so much. It is so much, but it is the same everywhere when you get into that type
Right.
of thing.
And there are things here that are different, like with the Padron stuff. You don't do that in the States,
Hmm.
but you're in and out in 5 minutes. I mean, I've never had a moment. I mean, maybe appointments were harder and things to get, but like when you're at the desk, you're out. It wasn't like
That was
I didn't
not our
have a
first
scary moment,
experience, but that has been our
but that was
experience
COVID.
since. Yes.
Yeah.
We had one terrible experience where they refused to give us a padron for 3 months, and that was
Right.
super fun. But yeah, generally speaking, that you're absolutely right. That is the case.
Right.
You can't can't help the odd person that doesn't want to do their job, you know?
Right, right,
That
right.
happens
But most do
everywhere.
want to get, yeah. But I think most people in the work setting, it's been my experience, they want to get the
Oh,
job
for
done.
sure.
They want to
Yeah.
move you off of their desk. They want to
Everybody,
help you
so
out.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we went into to get the padron the second time in a different town, and they were like, "You'll have it in your email later today." I almost cried. I was like, "That's how it
Right.
works." I didn't know it was that easy. And it, yeah, very efficient, and it's a lot of them do it just like you said, like by email, and yeah, it's super. I love it. Very, very efficient, and so nice, the people that we've had to deal with in like the city halls and things.
Hmm.
So yeah, they always want to
And
help.
I've had that moment too. And I was a little scared before I moved here about the city, that's kind of city hall thing, reading expat groups. And some people are like, oh, the bureaucracy is horrible. There's a lot of negative energy in the
Hmm.
internet. I don't know if you're aware of that, but there
Yeah.
is a lot of negative energy out there. And
There's always
um,
some, right? That
there's
yeah.
always some. And I was so scared for this bureaucracy, and that people, and then they're lazy and they don't want to help you, and that kind of whole energy. And I went there and I was like, and if you don't speak Spanish, no one's gonna help you. And I have found in those scenarios, if I use my little
Hmm.
Spanglish, right? Like if I can show that I'm
Big
trying,
difference. Yeah.
big difference, because then they'll try. They're like, oh, you're trying. And
Hmm.
then they'll find someone, and they still want to move you out of the desk, and they want the
Right.
thing done because they don't want you coming back. And it's everyone's been so nice. It's been a pleasant
Well, it takes
experience,
all
right?
sorts,
And
right? And the people that are a pain in the butt in America or England or wherever, they're also here, right? So they're
right,
not changing their
exactly.
personality when they move to another country. They are that same person thinking that they're entitled to everything done in a certain way, and they're going to bring that attitude. So, of course, you're going to get a variety of experiences because you have a variety of personalities trying to get things done. But I
Hmm.
think you're right.
And
Very
I think
nice.
that's a wonderful way to put it, because some of these myths, it's the perception of the people making the perception
Right.
versus the reality on the ground, right?
Yes, and I do that no matter where I travel. If I travel, I try to learn a few words and always go in with that language, even if that's the
Hmm.
only words that I know, because that's showing respect for the fact that you're in someone else's country and you want to communicate with them. And while it's
Right.
true, like English is the common language in a lot of places,
Hmm.
I think it's respectful to at least try, even if your language skills are horrible. You try, and then
Right.
people feel sorry for you, and then they really want to help you.
They do. They really do want to help you. If you're trying, they want to
Yeah.
help you.
The only problem with that philosophy is I've had that issue sometimes is I say something and I think I obviously said it much better than I thought I would, and they're thinking, "Oh, she understands and can speak Spanish or French or whatever. Let me just blurt out like the whole thing." And I'm like, and my blank look must be like, "Oh,
Yes.
okay, that was the only sentence she knew."
So I've also learned, and I still don't know it. I Well, put it this way: I know the phrase, but I always forget it in the time of need, which
Hmm.
is, "Can you please speak slower?" Right. So I
Right.
think that you need to learn that in every
Más
language.
despacio, or just another language, because sometimes you don't know enough of the language to even understand it slower. You're just really hoping that they'd feel sorry for you and find somebody that can help. Well, now we have apps and things that can help with this situation too.
Right. Right.
So what's our second
Well, I think the
myth?
second one, I think, is applied to all of everyone who's moved here,
Yeah.
is thinking that it is a tropical paradise year round, and
Hmm.
that it's always in vacation mode, and the sun is always
Right.
shining, and shorts and flip-flops are all that you need. And
This is true. Yes. Now I will say for some people, because we used to work a farmers market in Virginia, and it would be so cold in the winter, and there would be
mhm.
people that would come in shorts and flip-flops. So let's just put a caveat here that there are people that may be able to wear shorts and flip-flops
Right.
year round here, but that is not the climate.
Right,
Like
right. Like
generally.
your tourists from Lapland, when they come
Hmm.
down, right? And they're like,
They
"This is
might be like,
tropical compared to where we were."
this is so true. Yeah, and on top of that, the just you're living here. So, your life is going to be pretty much the same as whatever you were doing wherever you came from. You still have
Right.
kids that you got to get to school, and they've got to got to get them dressed and feed them, and so your life is going to be very similar, and it's not going to be that vacation image. Maybe you even came on a scouting trip and had a really beautiful vacation, but
Right.
the reality is gonna hit at some point that you are actually now living here doing your life things.
Right, like school still starts, you got to wake up, there
Yep.
is an alarm clock ringing,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
and fall arrives and it gets
And
cold
full,
and
and it
the days get
does.
shorter. I
Yeah.
mean, I will say the days get shorter, but since we're not in the correct geographical time zone,
That we are not. Yeah.
it does stay lighter later in the evening than it should, which was a breath of fresh air for me, that it's
Mm-hmm.
still the darkest day of winter at 6:30 the sun is still out. Like that's
Right.
the shortest. So it's you lose it in the morning, but I love that the kids are home for a while and the light's
Mm-hmm.
still coming through the windows.
It
So
does make a big difference. And when I go to England and I see the difference in the amount of daylight that we have in the winter, it is substantial compared to
mhm,
that. And just to be clear, that when you talk about the geographical timeline, we should be an hour behind within, we should be in the same time zone as England and Morocco.
right.
Like that's where we should be, but we're in the time zone of like Germany and sort of Eastern Europe area,
Central Europe.
which
Yep.
adjusts kind of, it does make a difference on the light.
Right. Which is also why they have the siestas and all those things, because it's the afternoon sun is it's hottest at 4, not at
Hmm.
2 like it should be, right? It's a completely
Right.
different, it's a different thing, which I'm
Yeah.
fine with it. I love a long day. I love a long night. I mean, I love a
Hmm.
long light day, and
Me
and
too.
we did do that. We went to England last January,
Oh,
and
it's hard, isn't it?
I mean, it was like the sun came up and it was setting at the same time, it felt like,
It does feel like that. It's like at 4 o'clock, it's dusk, it's getting dark, and by 4:20, it's pitch black, and you're
Pitch
like,
black,
okay,
like
well, I
it was
guess
like
it's dinner
midnight.
time now.
Yeah,
We should eat dinner, but it's 4:30, so I don't even know what to do between that time
right.
and dinner because my brain is like, eat something and go to bed.
And then
So
we got
weird.
home and we're like, "Oh," right? Like, we
No,
have an
yeah,
extra
it's so
2.5
nice.
hours, 2 hours of
Yeah, yeah,
sunshine.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then, when the siesta definitely in the summer helps with the heat. And to be clear, I don't think everybody's going home and actually sleeping. It is a time of mental rest in the middle of the day to have a
Right.
break. I'm sure there's some people that can sleep, but other people are just taking a longer break, which I think is really nice.
And that's when the people get their 2-hour lunches. I mean, the siesta is at the
Mhm.
lunchtime time, right? And a lot of children come home from school and spend it with their family, and it is a rest time. But they're not
Mhm.
sleeping and napping. I mean, maybe I
No.
do every once in a while, but I got the house to myself. But for
Right.
most people,
I think if you on the weekends, maybe it's a good time to take a nap. Maybe if you're retired during the week, you can actually take a siesta at that time.
hmm
And then maybe people that can come home and have enough time to take a short nap if you're able to be efficient like that with your sleep that I'm not super good at. But yeah, it's more of a relaxation time, I think, to kind of rejuvenate your brain in the middle of the day, which I think is really nice. And definitely the heat in the summer, which is this vacation mode, and the
right.
hot that we all think is year round,
Not year round.
is not year round, but it does require, I think, a little rest in the middle of the day to cope to cope with that
Yes,
heat.
it does. Yeah, yeah.
In general, yeah, and also the swimming. I mean, we've talked about this on our beaches in the winter. I think Poco, was it a Poco? We talked
Yeah,
about
and
the
we've talked
beaches
about
in
climate
winter.
before, but I think
Yeah,
it's so true that it needs to be brought up again and
yeah.
again and
That you
again.
are not swimming in the Mediterranean year round. You think the
No,
Mediterranean is this cute little lake that's going to be warm all year
right?
round, and
With the
it
crystal blue
is
waters everywhere, and that's only
no,
certain beaches that have crystal blue waters. Otherwise, it's
yeah.
just seawater.
But
And
it is a big sea with
yes,
nice cool water flowing in and nice cooler places cooling the water in other parts of the Mediterranean, and it gets cold, really, like polar swimming cold if you want to
yes,
do that, which some people love
yes.
to do. So have at it. You can do it in the Mediterranean.
But you're not laying out on the beach in December or January. You're just not, you're not in your little
No,
bikini and your towel. I mean, maybe someone from the north is, but I'm not going down there. It's
no.
windy, it's cold, and I was like, really, it's like this, okay? And for I don't know other places, but like we came from LA and you lived in LA, so you know this. In December, you're at the beach in LA, and I thought
Hmm.
it was going to be much more like that,
I
But
thought it would be
LA
much more like LA.
fluctuates. LA is winter, summer, spring, summer, and fall. every month, right? Like it
Mm-hmm.
fluctuates. It's 80
Yeah.
one day, 60 another, and and throughout the year it's like
You
that.
can
So
get it all anytime. Yeah.
right. And I thought it was going to be like that here,
Me too.
and it's
Yeah.
not.
It's not. No, I definitely thought that too. Like you said, having lived in LA, I was like, this seems very similar and it would be like that, but it does, we have a much stronger winter, summer, spring, fall. That said, now it's November, we're sort of in November now. We will still be getting some hot days where people will go down to the beach and enjoy
Mhm.
laying in the sun. If it's a hot day and it's not too windy, you can enjoy the odd day, but you need to be on those days because the next day is not going to be like that,
Right.
you
And
know?
once winter hits, it's winter for 3
It
months.
is.
When summer
Yeah.
hits, it's hot for 3 months. You don't get cool breakdown days like we did in
Mm-hmm.
California. Where you're like, "Oh my
No.
god, that's a heat wave. It's 100." Yeah, but next week it'll be 60. Just grin and bear it.
Yeah,
Here like it's going to be 100 for 3 months.
for three
Right?
months and a little more rain than I thought. I think it'll
Yes.
be interesting to see, obviously, up in the mountains. I do think we had days where we got the rain and you didn't more
Yes.
because we're in the mountains. So that'll be interesting to see if that how different that is. But we'll, days and days of rain, which I wasn't expecting as
I was
well.
not expecting that either. And I remember reading, oh, Valencia has 300 and some days of sunshine year round. I'm like, I've lived here now. I'm going on my third year. No,
No, I don't
no.
think it's that many.
There's a
Yeah.
lot of gloomy days that I was
Mm-hmm.
not expecting that will, last, not blue skies all the time.
Yeah.
And it's not a complaint. It is just oh, I didn't realize.
Reality.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's a reality. I mean, it is beautiful weather year round. Like I'm not unhappy with it, but it wasn't this. I'm not living the paradise I thought I was going to be
You're
living.
not going to the beach in January like you
Yeah,
thought you would. No, I think that's a good point. It is lovely. There is nothing wrong with the weather here at all. It is a
right,
lovely climate, but it is definitely, you know, cool. And some of this might be like the climate change as well, because
right.
it is hotter in the summer than it used to be, and it's probably colder in the winter than it used to be. If we go
Hmm.
back 30, 40 years, it might have had a climate a bit more like LA, possibly. Who knows?
I don't know, but but the funny thing is here is that the Spaniards think it's a lot worse than we do because they've already got their fur coats on.
Oh my god.
They've got their parkas, the puffer coats. I'm like, it's still 72. Like I'm still walking around with like shorts.
Right?
Maybe I'll have like maybe a long sleeve shirt. Like my perfect weather is we're in that time now. Is I can wear shorts and like a cotton sweater. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
that kind of, or a pants and a t-shirt. Like that kind of.
Yeah, I would. So we're sort of in that part of the year now where I'm constantly not dressed correctly. That's my issue. I'm going out thinking it looks so pretty, it's sunny, I'm in shorts and, a t-shirt, and then I go out and I'm like, oh my God, it's too cold. Or I look out and I'm like, oh, it's a little rainy, I'm gonna dress up, and it's actually hot and raining. Like it's just it's never quite right. And I
For
know
you,
you've told me
right?
before I should actually step outside and
Yeah.
try to test the weather
You can
before
put
I.
your hand out the window. You
It
know what I
just doesn't
mean? That's what we
happen. I just
do.
look out and I think I'm smarter than that, and I'm obviously really not.
I'm just gonna throw this out for you. It's gonna mind blow you. Like the sun shines in Sweden in January, so don't use like if
I
the sun's
don't. Yes.
shining that it's
Well,
gonna
it's
be.
you're absolutely right, but in DC, the Virginia area where we lived, we would have this. The weather there was quite amazing as far as having our cold winters were very sunny. You would have
Hmm.
rain that would come at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon or something, or you would have a couple of days of rain or snow. But overall, it was a very, very sunny and then freezing weather and very sunny, which was I love.
Hmm.
I love it if you can get a cold winter with actual sun. That's like perfect to
Because it
me.
doesn't feel so cold when the sun's beating on your face. It brings
That's
joy.
true.
A
Yeah.
cold gray winter. I mean, that's why there's
Well, it's just
places that
miserable,
have.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just you can't
Yeah.
find joy.
No.
I don't know. And
No.
people that do find joy in that, be concerned. Don't have them over.
Well,
I have like my aunt loves a cold, gloomy day, and I can't understand how because it makes me so sad and
I
depressed. I
love
don't
one cold, gloomy day. I
right
don't want
one
a week or two
tomorrow.
weeks of cold, gloomy days. So I can
Yes.
appreciate one. I can appreciate a really nice rainy day where you're inside, and if as long as you don't have to leave the house, right? I can
Right.
really appreciate that kind of weather for a day.
And I agree. Well, I mean, I can handle thunderstorms for a week straight is fine with me. Just not
Yeah.
gloomy for a week, right? As
Right.
long as the sky's
Exactly.
doing something and I can open my windows and put a blanket on and be like, oh
Right.
yeah, listen to
Yeah.
that roll. That's amazing. But if it's
Feel
just gloomy,
feel like you're in a horror movie. We know how much you
yeah.
love those. Talking about people we should be concerned about.
Whatever.
Whatever. Should we move on to number 3 on that note, on that rude
Yeah,
note that
yeah,
I
this was
started?
a huge. I think this one strikes a lot of people as
Yes.
a huge
Hmm.
wake up call once they step foot on the ground here. And take it away, Tanya.
The Mediterranean diet that we will all be living on when we move to Spain does not exist here.
Not in any way, shape, or form. I thought I'm going to move to Spain. I'm going to be so healthy, Mediterranean. I'm going to lose 180 pounds just the first week because it's going to
Right.
be health, health,
Because all
health.
you're going to be provided with are
The
vegetables, fruits, whole grains, beans, all the healthy things. Well, we do have lots of extra virgin olive oil that is on everything. So we are getting that healthy fat within the other stuff that we're getting.
right, right.
Lots of fish, and beans and all that. I mean, it
And oh,
sounds
very few,
amazing.
little meat, very little meat. Like
Hmm.
that's right, the Mediterranean, little meat. But it's all going to be like those. It's going to be an Instagram moment when I arrive
Right.
of a table full of
Yeah.
whole foods.
And we're on the Mediterranean, so presumably a lot more fish than meat,
Right,
theoretically.
presumably,
Yep.
and none of those things are true.
None of
Not in
those things are
Spain. I
true.
think the Mediterranean diet really is an Italian and Greek thing. That's maybe the
Yes.
south of France is who's living that. You are. I think we've talked about this before. You're not getting vegetables at a restaurant here. It's not going to happen. Not outside of a potato and an artichoke and maybe the odd green bean, but
Yeah. You're
salads.
not, I mean, you would have to, I mean, I'm sure you have much more access to this in the city. I mean, you'd have to go to a restaurant that is really serving salads to get a salad. If you
Right.
go to a cafe, if you go to any of the Italian sort of, no, Italian. Why did I say Italian? Oh, because you just said Italian. Any of the Spanish like cafes that are doing the almuerzos and things like this, all they're serving is sandwiches with the Spanish tapas from this area, and
Right.
it's mostly fried. Maybe the
Hmm.
tortillas. You got the tortilla, which is egg and potato, is possibly the healthiest thing that you're getting out
You're
of
getting
that.
you're getting cheese,
Hamon.
cured meats.
Yeah.
Yep, you're getting cheese, cured meat, and mayonnaise aioli. Like you're getting fat on fat
And then
and starch on starch.
you're getting deep fried calamari, deep fried croquetas, deep fried whatever other fish they want to deep fry. Now
Hmm.
you go to a nicer place, you will probably find a lot of grilled sepia octopus and things that is
Right.
really really good. But again, it's not a plate of grilled vegetables or
No.
anything like
Or a
that.
big salad. Like salads are very hard to find. I mean, if you're at a restaurant, and this happened to us on the other night, we were with friends, and she was like, "Oh, it's a tuna salad, perfect." Like she thought it was going to be a slice, a piece of tuna on a bed
Oh,
of lettuce, and
has
it
she not
and
lived
it
here long?
they've lived here for I think a year.
Okay.
But I will be in her defense, we were at like one of these chef fusiony kind
Oh,
of
okay.
places that looked hip, and the way it was worded on the menu wasn't what was delivered, and what was delivered was the ensalada rusa,
I was
right? It
gonna
was
say, I
the
bet
tuna
that's what it is.
potato. It was, but the way it was worded on the menu, it didn't say Russian salad. It was
Right.
like a salad with tuna belly on it, and we're like,
Mhm.
oh well, that sounds
That sounds good.
lovely.
Yeah, that
And
sounds
it
like
was
a
just a
salad.
big blob of
Yeah.
Russian salad. It was delicious. The tuna
Mhm.
was better. It was literally the Russian salad with a real piece of tuna, like a whole
Right.
piece of tuna on top
Yeah.
of it, not mixed in with it. But it wasn't. She was expecting some
No.
greenery.
I mean, like I said, we have a restaurant that we go to that has a menu, and they're often their starter is a salad that is actually lettuce with some sweet corn and some things on it, and maybe some tuna, not with the
Hmm.
mayonnaise. That's quite rare outside of the city.
Right.
Otherwise, you have to go to a restaurant that is maybe an Italian restaurant or something where they have proper salad starters or something,
Right.
along with all the pizzas and pastas. And in the city, I would imagine you have more opportunities like that. But when we talk about like the Spanish food here, it is a lot of, like you said, a lot of jamon in everything. I mean, we were just talking about the sweets that have the jamon grease in them as part of the
Right,
powder,
either
how
the
they
little
make
cookies,
them,
the
right? The
Christmas cookies,
cookies, the
yes.
Christmas cookies ones that I just saw piles of in the store the other day. I think they're
They
already
arrived
out.
yesterday or
Yes,
2 days ago, yeah.
they arrived right on Halloween.
I bought a big pile for our dining table.
I'm going to go and buy a few, and then I'm going to test what you said, where you said in that you have to
You're supposed
pinch
to
them or
pinch it.
something. So you're going to have to video call me and show me how to do that.
Well,
And
it's funny because I was trying to do that. Side note, tangent, imagine us. I was trying to do that last night because I had bought some, and I was
okay.
like, it was just crumbling in my fingers, and I didn't really care because I was wanted to scarf it up anyway. I
Well,
wasn't
can you
trying
figure
to.
out how to do it, and then we'll try, and if we can get it to work, we'll post a video of how it works. Because for me, that's what happens. I
Yes.
feel like if I squish them, all that happens is they just poof, turn into powder. Like that's what
Right,
happens to
right.
me. So maybe it's the certain, maybe it's sort of the sideways or top to bottom or something that you got to do it. Who knows?
Ye- Who
Who
knows? Who
knows?
knows?
But yeah, so I
Who
mean,
knows?
you can obviously you can cook for yourself, you can buy food and cook for yourself and do all that. But if you're going out to regular Spanish places here in this part of Spain, it is not it is not the healthiest of options that you have, I would say. And
Right.
that other parts of Spain might be very different.
And they do eat smaller meals, right? So it's like
Hmm.
lunch is their big meal, and it's a lot of food, but it is stretched out. But it isn't like you're not getting like Cheesecake Factory portions here. Like
Yeah.
they'll order like 5 plates for the table, and they're nibbling and stuff. So they're all skinny here with a very unhealthy diet, right? Like
Yeah.
it's high fat, but at the same time, like even in the city, it is hard to find restaurants with salads and vegetables, and you have to kind of search them out,
Hmm.
and then some of them don't. There was this one salad place, it closed, it was great, and I was like, well, people aren't even eating that here, so it has to be, you
Right.
have to be like the just enough and still serve the Spanish food to get the business,
Hmm.
because they're not expecting that. And then to do it yourself, you can do it here, but that takes some work too, because at most of the grocery stores, the vegetables are limited. You have to go to like you have to go to one of the central markets, the Rusafa market, to find the green grocers that are getting a lot of different vegetables. I
Right.
was the other day, it had hit my mind. I completely forgot these things existed because I have yet to see them here, which is a sugar snap pea. And I'm like,
Oh, I
those
love
were
them. So I found a
everywhere.
big pot of those at Macro, and I ate them for like 7 days straight because everything in Macro is
Oh.
like bigger, right? So I was having them
You
for
want to
like
explain
every
what a
meal.
macro is? Why that doesn't apply to most people, though? Explain what that is.
So yeah, so Macro is a place you have to be autonomous or have some kind of so that you have to have a business so that you can have an account to go there. But you can't just you do have to have a business. You can't it's not like Costco where you can just go in and buy
Or
it,
buy a
buy a
membership,
number. So
right?
it's generally for people that are have a restaurant or something and they're buying larger quantities of things. You can buy like a whole wheel of cheese, or if they're really nice, they've chopped it in half and it's a half a wheel of cheese. So that'll take some time to get through if you're going to buy that larger quantities of things for restaurants and stuff like that. But they do have a wider variety of vegetables there, which I would imagine are being used by way fancier restaurants than I go to because I haven't seen that
Right.
variety in any like little Spanish cafe that I've gone to really.
Yeah, that was the surprise to me, that I thought I'd have access to all these vegetables, and there's only so many times you want to eat broccoli or green beans in a week, and then going to the central market, or I mean the Rusafa market isn't that far,
Yeah.
but it's not in my commuting in any way, shape, or form, right? It's not on
Yeah.
my way to the girls' bus stop. It's not my way into the where any of my appointments are. So
But you
I
have a
have to make a
wider
point to.
variety there if you do go to the farmers markets.
Yeah, you do those central markets type things. Yeah, you do have a wider variety. You do pay the premium for them as
Mm-hmm.
well. Like I wouldn't buy broccoli there. I'd get that at Mercadona because it's cheaper.
Oh,
But
okay.
I'm not going to get Romanesque. That's what it's called, right? The Romanesque, the that pixelated the pixelated
Pixelated cabbage.
broccoli, not cabbage, the broccoli, the pixelated broccoli cauliflower
Oh, I know what
hybrid
you
thing.
mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I think it is called that. Yeah, I love that. That's
Yeah,
really pretty. Yeah.
I love that.
Hmm.
And so you can get that there, but you're not going to find that in the grocery
So
stores.
don't
Maybe.
be jealous. But the other thing we
Mhm.
have out here is there is a like co-op, massive co-op market where you pay like €3 to go in and you can buy
Okay.
cases of everything from cherries to vegetables and everything. But you do need to go in with a group of 3 or 4 families to warrant buying that amount of cherries or that amount of whatever it is.
Because you're getting a moving
You're getting a
box
moving
size of
box of
cherries.
it, yes. But there, it's amazing because that is where probably all the people that that are going to the farmers market to sell are buying their stuff,
Gotcha.
right?
They're getting it from
They're
there to
probably getting
bring
it from
there.
there and
Yeah.
heading down to the Restafa market, I would imagine.
Hmm.
So that is also a really good resource that we have out in our area outside of the city that you can go into. So if you go in and you have an agreement with a couple of other families, that you can then buy a bunch of stuff and share it, because otherwise it'll all go off before you have the opportunity to eat it.
Right, right.
But it is available. You can find things, and if you cook for yourself, you could 100% have a Mediterranean diet here. But when you go out, you would have
Hmm.
to be very, very picky on the places that you go out to eat,
Right.
in my
And
opinion.
they do serve like the sardines served in oil,
Mm-hmm.
that are bathed in oil, which are delicious. And there are other things, but you can do it. It's not the lifestyle thrown in your face like if you're in southern Italy, right?
Yes.
Like
No, you're not going to
it's not what's offered.
no, you're not going to every restaurant and getting like just a nice piece of fish with olive oil drizzled on it. That's not
Right.
what's happening.
and five lightly steamed green beans and
Right.
a little olive oil to dip your whole grain bread in.
Yes,
Yeah,
because I
that's not
remember
happening.
going to Italy and visiting my friend who lived there, and we were in Positano, and she had she had a friend that we took a boat from Positano up the coast to some little restaurant, and in that restaurant it was like little pieces of fish and little pieces of vegetable, and everything just had olive oil drizzled on it, and it was like perfectly grilled, and I mean, it was probably the best meal that I've ever had in my whole entire life, on like just
Right.
on the water there. And that is, like you said, Italy. That is that sort of coastal diet that they have there, that is
Right.
absolutely, I think, what we were all thinking we might be getting here.
Right. So on what I had also learned here is about Valencia. I was talking to a group of, as I like to say, age adjacent people, slightly older,
Age
the next
adjacent.
checkbox.
I love
Yes.
that.
And I was bringing up this idea about food because we were all talking about cooking. We were at a cafe and they just heard me and they wanted to speak some English. And I'm like, oh, look at this cute group of age adjacent people. So we were talking and I asked them about food, and Diane, I thought there would be more seafood in
Hmm.
Valencia too, and like the number of fish, the kinds of fish that you get is limited, even at the big markets.
Right.
Where when I lived in California, it was the same way, very limited fish selection in Southern California. But like in New York City, where the waters are cold, like the fish selections were amazing at the
Hmm.
fishmongers, and they are like, if you go to Alicante, you have more fish because that's where the fishermen in. Fishermen aren't coming into Valencia anymore.
Right.
They're going
Yeah.
to Alicante. So if you want the wider selection, that's where you. I'm like, why are you telling me that now? Now I'm already moved here.
Right. So you have to go south to get the Mediterranean diet in Spain, I guess.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, well, I don't even know about their train. Just more
Just more
fish.
fish.
And how do you get there? Leads us into number
Number
4.
4, go for it.
The myth of trains in Europe. This isn't even just a myth about. This isn't even just a Spanish myth. It's
All
all
over
of
Europe, I
Europe
think.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, before I moved here, and I had been traveled enough, so I knew about this myth before. I want to pat myself on the back for
Well
that. But
done.
it's something I'm often correcting people. Oh, you're living in Spain. That must be amazing. You must be able to take trains everywhere.
Everywhere.
Trains in Europe.
Yeah.
It's so convenient. You can get to Italy in what, an hour and a half. No, Italy is very far.
Hmm.
And
Outside of Spain is very far. I mean, Spain is a massive
right.
country and with a lot to offer. So you can just travel around Spain and enjoy, but
And
maybe.
in Spain, the trains are very
Hmm.
convenient. The longest train, I mean, you might have a 10-hour train ride if you have to take slower trains and
Yeah.
stuff, but you can get, from one side of the country to the other in like 4 or 5 hours in the high speed trains,
Hmm.
right? Go great distance. But Spain is a peninsula. There's nothing bordering Spain. We got one country, right? Like, we got Portugal one side and France on the other. But France is the gate. We have to get through France to get through the
To get to
rest of
everywhere
Europe,
else. And
right?
that's also a big country. So and I mean, I always run into this because I feel like there was a point in my life when trains were a cheap way to travel. And so I have it in my
Hmm.
head that it should be cheap. It's not that cheap. I mean, like you said, that we talked about this before. There are cheaper ways, and if you're going around Spain, you can totally do it. In England, the
Right.
trains are outrageously expensive, and if you
They
want to
really
go
are.
country to
Yeah.
country and take it, like we calculated, because we were thinking of we needed to go to Denmark, and we were like, maybe we should train it instead of taking a plane. I mean, you need a mortgage. Like, there's just no reason to do it. It's
Right.
going to take forever, and it's going to be so expensive. It's just not worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had thought about that, doing it from Paris. We flew to. I was like, let's fly to Paris and take the train back. And I'm like, I know it's like a 10-hour journey, but
Hmm.
we could see all the countrysides and the mountains and the lavender fields and all the things that could have a picture postcard moment. And it was going to be like 600 euros one way for the three of us to
Right.
get from Paris to here. And I'm like, the flight was 150 for the three of us round
So the
trip.
flights have
Right.
got
So I
less. And I
was
would say when
like,
I was 17, I did the Eurail thing with a friend and we bought that one ticket. And I don't know if that still exists. If you're doing that type of thing, there is probably a way to travel around Europe and enjoy. And we did that. We went to Italy and France and Spain and over to like Greece and everything. We did the whole thing for probably a very
mhm.
decent price because you're on this Eurail train ticket thing. But if you're actually trying to get from one place to another that you need to get to, it's always going to be cheaper to take a plane at this point.
Right. And I think the train myth really doesn't seem a myth if your base is Central Europe,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you're based in Paris, you can get to Switzerland really quickly.
Right.
When all the countries are smaller and close together, like France is a big country, but on the other side of the France are a bunch of smaller
Yeah.
countries that you can get to northern Italy very
Same for
quickly. You can get to
Germany.
Switzerland,
Yeah.
Austria.
I mean,
Yeah,
I've had friends
exactly.
that were based in Germany and they visited everywhere because you are central, surrounded by a ton of places to visit, right? Spain is
Right.
not. Spain is off on the
But if
edge.
you're moving, yeah, if you're moving to Spain, the trains are
Hmm.
great. The trains are great in Spain,
Yes, they
but
are.
you're not taking them to get to Rome.
No,
You're
you're
just
just
not.
not.
And I was looking too, and if someone wants to pipe in and prove me I'm wrong, listeners, because I would like to know if I'm wrong. But I tried this. Is that years ago there were overnight trains, and those are not as is around as much as they are, and they were cheaper because I was like going to Italy, and a friend of mine said, oh, when she was younger she would take the night train from Milan
And
to
I've taken
Spain.
that when we did the Eurail, we took overnight a lot because then we didn't have to pay for somewhere to stay, right? So then we would wake up
Right.
somewhere else and it was amazing.
But I couldn't find this night train that she was
Hmm,
speaking of. I looked at all the different Omios and
interesting.
Expedia, all the different train line apps and
Yeah,
stuff, and I'm like, "Where's this night train you speak?" She goes, "Maybe it doesn't exist." I mean, I think Ryanair has canceled the need for a lot of
that's
these,
true. But
those kind of discount
also
airlines. But
because of where we are, you would probably have to go in and change trains in Paris or change trains first in Barcelona and then in
mm-hmm,
Paris. So it's like there's not a train that does the loop between like Spain and Italy, as far as I know, where you just stay on it. So
right,
the idea that you wouldn't have to change 15 times to get there as well, I think is
right,
is like
right.
not the case.
Those days are
So
over. Yeah,
it would be a trip. It would be a real trip to really do that. And I think it would be beautiful for sure, but I don't think it would be cheap and I don't think it would be easy. You would be switching trains a lot to do
right,
it as well. Yeah.
right.
You're right. Maybe those things have just kind of went away when air travel got cheaper. Who knows? That could be a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's a push of these European countries to encourage more train
Mhm.
travel, but it's hard to compete with these discount airlines and
Yeah.
time. It's hard to compete with a 12-hour train ride to an hour and a half flight. It's
That's
really
very
hard
difficult.
to
Yeah, because that becomes it does have to be part of your actual trip. The train ride has to be,
right,
which it was for you in the summer, right? Like the train ride was part of your trip.
right.
Was
Oh, and it
yeah.
was great. I got to see them, but it was only 5 hours, 4.5 hours.
Hmm.
So it wasn't, it was like it was getting us there, but it also didn't waste the entire day. I will say traveling 5 hours on a train and you're leaving from your center of town and arriving in the center of the town you want to be in
Hmm.
is a lot better than an hour and a half flight for an airport that's 40 minutes
For
outside of
sure.
either
Yeah,
city,
for sure.
and
Yeah.
then you have to go through security and all that stuff. But when it's a 12-hour train ride, the one and a half makes sense, right?
Right.
But
And then maybe it's 12 hours, but maybe you got to change trains at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you're like, this is
oh,
no
which would be
longer any fun,
horrific.
right?
No. But if there were overnight trains, so if anyone knows of some, please
Right.
please let me know. I would love to know some overnight trains because I wouldn't mind 12 hours on a train if part of it was sleeping
Totally.
and we're waking up in the center of a
And then you
town.
wake up in like Switzerland or something, right? Like you leave from Madrid and you wake
Yeah,
up in like Switzerland or Austria or something. I mean, that would be great. I'm surprised you didn't
that would
find
be
anything like
amazing.
that. So we'll have to do another research. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to research that
Yeah.
one.
Well, we touched on this a little bit, but our last one is, again, we're going to talk a little bit about food and tapas.
Let's talk about food.
And
No
tapas.
way.
Yum.
And tapas. Well, what's the myth?
The myth is that tapas are a specific type of food, whereas in fact they are a way of eating food. So if you go to a tapas restaurant, I think in America, I've done this, you will think that food that they're providing is, which it might be, tapas that you would get in Spain. And that might be the case in some regard, but tapas is actually just eating small amounts of food and sharing, and the culture of having a nice meal with a bunch of people and this type of thing. Correct?
Correct. So I mean, what the ingredients are going to be specific, like regionally specific. So what you get in, granted, there are certain things. I mean, I think you're getting calamari everywhere in Spain,
and tortillas probably everywhere,
and tortillas, right? But if you go to Andalusia, they're going to have different seafood that they have, or different ways to prepare different vegetables or olives or whatever what different cheeses too that are going to show up on these plates. But so they'll be different everywhere. But paella can be a tapas, right? Like it could just be a small portion of rice as part of the tapa versus,
I suppose, I've never seen paella as a tapa, but that might be something in another part, I suppose, because that's usually something you have as a whole thing or part of a menu, I would think. But you're correct. Yeah. I mean, it's like the different things. I would imagine the gambas alioli, that type with ajo, with like the garlic and shrimp, that's probably everywhere. There are some classics, right? But even that, you're not finding the shrimp with garlic everywhere here in Valencia. I mean, the ones we have that I would say, because we've talked about this a little bit before, where you go to a cafe, they don't have any menus anywhere, because all they do is serve the typical tapas from this region in a sandwich if you want it, or out of a sandwich as tapas. That's it. So there's no menu, and the typical ones here are probably some grilled calamari of some sort, also deep fried calamari rings, croquetas, tortillas,
couple sausages,
some sausages, obviously jamon and cheese. Does that pretty much cover it? I think.
Pretty
that
much
covers the basics. Those are the ones you would find.
And patatas.
Oh, patatas bravas. Yeah.
And maybe a patatas panaderas or another kind. There might be a couple ways you're getting potatoes.
Yeah, but that would be literally if you go anywhere in the Valencia region, you can have those tapas and you can have those in a bocadillo, and that would be it. And then each restaurant might go above and beyond and do some other things. Or you might find a really fancy restaurant that doesn't have those things, but they have a whole array of other things. But those would be the Valencia region ones that you're getting everywhere without asking, basically. Oh, and also the artichokes, the grilled artichokes. That's a pretty popular one here too.
Yeah, that's a pretty popular one. And in here too, I don't know about in the country, but in the city, eggplant is served a lot too.
Like it does, but I don't eat it, so I forget. But yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But to me, eggplant is, I mean, I know it's a vegetable. I think it's actually
you just said there's no vegetables here,
seeds.
You liar.
But to me, I don't consider like eggplant like a vegetable. To me, vegetables have to be green and crunchy, and that's to me, eggplant presents itself more as a starchy base food, right?
It's more of a mushy thing, which is why I'm not a huge fan. But I was over at someone's house the other day, and they made an amazing eggplant. Something with eggplant. It was so delicious. But they had actually found a way to make it crunchy as well as the gooey. And I was like, okay, this actually works if you can get a bit of crunchy in there as well. But that's not usually the case.
Right.
But I mean, really good. I mean, but that's you do have to be prepared that there will not be menus in a lot of places. And especially if you, maybe not in the city, but definitely if you get out of the city into more regional places, it's the same people eating in all the restaurants there. So they don't need to tell people what's on the menu. There's just no need for it. And it's all the same stuff that they're getting probably at Macro or whatever. They're doing the same croquetas. So you'll have like the croquetas, they might have chicken croquetas generally, but then some other place might be doing fancy like duck ones, or they might, get a little fancy with their tapas.
Right.
But yeah.
And then tapas can be different, right? There's the restaurants you go to and you order the tapas, and then there's the bars that are serving the tapas for free with your drink, but you're not getting that everywhere either, right? That's a specific kind of establishment that's going to give you your tapas with your drink, and those tapas are tiny, like that you're just getting like a very small thing to go with your to go with your drink. But I think people think that's a thing too, right? It's different on the establishment, and then different regionally
too. Yeah, I mean, I think it's
right.
it's worth just traveling Spain to see what tapas are kind of generic to every region, I think, because it is going to vary a lot from region to region. But just the idea, like we were saying, the idea of tapas being more of just a how you eat, not what you're eating, is kind of
Right.
the gist of this number 5 for us.
I think so. Now I'm
Me
hungry.
too.
So maybe that means it's time to wrap things up.
I think it might be.
So I can go get some. Now what do I want?
What's your favorite? What's your favorite tapas?
I mean, the grilled sepia I adore. I do love, and I love the fried calamari. I will have to say, and I'm sorry, Valencia, the best fried calamari still, to me, I found in Madrid. That's still the best one that I've had since I've been in Spain for a few years. It's fine here. But there was one place in Madrid we got it from, and it, like, you bit into it and it was just like melted in your mouth. It wasn't chewy. It was like so good. Not that it's not good here, but here I've had amazing grilled sepia, and I
have to agree. I do love, and it wasn't when I first moved here. Jawad was happy. He was the only one eating the grilled calamari and sepia and stuff. He was like, this is so great. Like, I didn't want to eat it. Zena didn't want to eat it. I am now transformed and I love it. So he has competition now when we sit down for tapas and we're eating the grilled fish and the grilled calamari, and I think it's really delicious. And it usually comes with nice drizzle of olive oil and then the alioli that we all love to have on everything. So you've got this delicious flavor on the plate, and then you're dipping it in the alioli, and it's so good.
So I have to say before we go, I don't know if you've had this. I was just introduced to these last week. A friend of mine, another parent friend, Spanish friend, she was like, we're going out for a glass of wine tonight. I'm like, okay, bye kids, And so we went out, and she's like, we're going, so the place we wanted to go was closed. And so we went around the corner. She goes, oh, have you ever been here? I'm like, no. She goes, this is Spain. This is a Spain restaurant in our neighborhood. This is where all the locals, no foreigners coming here. I'm like, okay. And she ordered these tortillitas de camarones. I think that's how they're pronounced. It is a fried shrimp, not really a fritter, kind of like a pancake, but it's like shrimp and garlic.
Oh my God, that sounds so good.
And it's a chickpea flour, and they're flat and thin, like a wafer. It's like a wafer, as it were, and maybe, I don't know, 6-7 centimeters across.
That sounds amazing.
And I'd never had them before, and they were pure heaven. Gosh. So if you see that on the menu,
say the name again. I'm gonna look for it.
It's It's not tortilla. Tortillitas
or something.
De camarones.
Oh, okay, all right, that sounds good.
Look for the camarones. That's what it was.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, that sounds like something a little different.
It's like a shrimp cracker. Oh my gosh, it's like got more of like a cracker.
And did it come with the alioli as well, or you just eat it as it is?
You just eat it as is. I think there was a lemon with it you put on it, but yeah,
that sounds different.
I was like, oh, yeah, it was so good.
Okay, we're all on the search for that now. Thank you. That'll take up the rest of the day.
Well, on that note, until our Poco.
Have a great rest of your weekend.
Hey, can't get enough of us? Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Spain Podcast.
And on our website, ourspain.com, which we will be updating with exciting new things as we grow.
We would love for you to message us with any topics you would like to hear about.
See you next time.
Bye.